Well, after numerous complaints about the ZZAW A1 with its cooler compatibility, now the ZZAW actually came with the Plus version of the A1. This is Master Bamboo, and today we are going to have a look at the ZZAW A1 Plus. Just like the A1, the A1 Plus uses screws to mount the side panels. The motherboard and the CPU still sits back to back, while the case ventilation has been improved. The A1 Plus supports flex power supply, a 2-slot graphic card, and also mini ITX motherboard. Compared to the D53 that we reviewed, the A1 Plus is only slightly taller. The only change to the A1 Plus is the width. The A1 Plus is easily fit into a book bag, while you can still pack up your weekend belongings and then go camping with it. The case specs for the A1 Plus has been summarized as list for you. The side panels are mounted by the 4 screws, and both side panels are the same. The A1 Plus comes with a hard drive mounting plate. If a dedicated graphic card is not desired, then a 3.5 inches hard drive can be mounted onto the plate. If you do use the dedicated graphic card, you can remove the plate easily. One advice here is to install the graphic card extension cable or the GPU riser into place before you start building the case. The bracket for the 12th generation Intel may cause some issues, so we replaced it here. Then the next step alongside is to install the M2 NVMe drive. Then simply spread the thermal paste and install your GPU cooler and your memory. A 17cm long flex power supply is recommended, and 18cm long power supply is compatible as well. It is recommended to have the modular cables pre-installed onto the power supply before placed into the case. After the power supply, then the I/O shield and motherboard can be installed. The motherboard is mounted with 4 screws as a typical mini ITX motherboard. Then some cabling work is needed after you have installed the motherboard. If everything goes right, the graphic card install is very straightforward. Optionally, you can also mount a 92mm case fan onto the top to help ventilate the case. Finally, install the dust shield that's found in the packaging. Then close all the panels and then you're done. With a small case and a powerful CPU, some tweakings to the core is needed for the CPU. And since the graphic card does not support a HVAC encoding, the benchmark recording may actually show some lag. The first benchmark tool is the Final Fantasy Online benchmark tool. With the newest driver from AMD, which enhanced the DirectX 11 performance, the 6500 XT actually does not shy from the 3060 Mini too much. From a score, there is only about a third difference between the two cards, while the 6500 XT is only 80 watts, while the 3060 Mini is 170 watts. Temperature-wise, everything checks out and looks pretty promising. The Starstorm stress test also utilized the DirectX 11. The Starstorm actually runs both GPU and the CPU in the same time. This way it puts a little more pressure on the cooling capacity as well. But since the 6500 XT does not draw too much power, we don't foresee too much problem within this case. On the CPU side, it's not really that hot as well, so we call it pretty good. Then the things gets interesting with the DirectX 9, which is the Resident Evil 6 benchmark tool. The 6500 XT didn't even score half of the 36 mini. With 150 something FPS, what more can you ask? But the performance is really lagging from the 3060 mini. Not to mention you don't even get the HVAC or H.264 encoding with this card. The Big Navi series has been pretty successful with the DirectX 12, which is a 3D Mark time spy here, but the 6500 XT did not score well neither within this test, which is rather disappointing. However, the only thing that we can mention here which did good was the temperature. However, the CPU actually shoot up to about 80 degrees, which is reasonable for this type of cooling capacity. Now, if we put the test scores within the chart, you can clearly see the performance difference between the 6500 XT and the 3060 mini. The DirectX 11 did quite well, but DirectX 9C didn't even score half as much, which is really disappointing. With all being said, the ZZAW A1 Plus has great improvement in cooling compatibility and also the cooling itself. With the volume only increased a slight bit and the overall size did not change noticeably, I'd say the A1 Plus did it quite well. And this is Master Bamboo, and we'll see you next time.